yeah, the bar, the competition, the amount of detail you have to sort of reflect in terms of how you teach is now for assessment, right? So maybe Jess, you could also speak on this a little bit, the teaching and how it's sort of changing within this environment.
Right. Well, for one thing, definitely the mode of teaching is highly adjusting. Like a lot of teachers are really adjusting. But right now, just like what James said, this is actually where more people, even though there are a lot of more choices right now, you're going to get evaluated based on how well you really teach and how well your students actually grow. Because I mean, let's be honest, like I know a lot of teachers who teach for the sake of the teaching environment and not for the sake of the lesson or the actual.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? No, I mean like there's nothing.
What does that mean?
Like that was like.
What does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean, bro? What does that mean?
That's okay. I'm not saying one is right. Guys are suddenly triggered and like, oh, wait a minute.
No. I was like, yo, that's a good, that's a good insight. Cause like, honestly, like let's be honest. Like you go into, when you're teaching one by one, you are really focused on the little
student
things that make them better. Right. And when you're teaching in front of people, like I've been to a couple classes where, you ask a question, the dude's like, no, that's just how I do it. And we're like, so what do I get out of it, right? And it's more hidden because there's that amount of people. There's so many people there, so they're just watching you do your thing. But once you're talking about feedback, you're talking about discussion, you're talking about points of improvement. Like it's less about like what you can do and more about what So that's why I was like, ooh, because like you really hit it there. So yeah, keep going, expand. we're not like whoa, who's that? Like we're just saying like that's real insight.
Yeah,
it is. It's like I know a lot of teachers who like the teaching setting, the environment, right? That again, this isn't bad, but whatever they teach, put them in the environment of teaching, and they like that activity. The activity to teach, just to share choreography or what they know, without any focus of, let's say, assessment or growth from students. It's actually just the environment.
Right.
I mean, whether we like it or not, those are the realities right now in the dance community around the world. And that's also where how you can like assess the teachers on what their teaching objectives are. Some of them, again, it's not a bad thing, but some of them like that sharing setting, regardless if their students learn, regardless if they become better dancers after. It's something they enjoy doing, and we can't really blame them. And there are some teachers who are student centered, who really like, I don't care what I'm teaching today. I just, even if I'm teaching you just one thing, I don't care if you guys video that or whatever. I'm making sure you get that thing properly. There's teachers who are like that. And there's some teachers who like both, who like the teaching setting, and the vibe, the environment, the social setting, but also kind of want their students to, take certain things away after the class. You know what I mean? So I think because everything is now shifted online, it's getting tested, because let's say, even though there are a lot of classes are pre-recorded and technically you can do whatever you want and teach whatever you want and sell it as a pre-recorded class, obviously in a social setting, you're not getting the same gratification or fulfillment teaching in that social setting. So for some teachers, it could be taxing. Parang, I got to make like a long tutorial video. So, you know what I mean? And then there are people who like, okay, so I'm just going to be honest. This is not like to promote or whatever, but like James and I, we're doing mentorship programs specifically because we like seeing growth from our students. You know what I mean? We I don't actually, I for example, I know James does this and he's able to do this. Props for you to doing it. I don't like doing it. Like, I don't like getting small group mentorships because like, I don't want to like look at 3. I want to look at 1. You know what I mean? So like, that's my learning, my teaching objective. So shifting online will always affect that from teachers, their objectives as a teacher. What are you teaching? How are your students actually being assessed? And how are they growing? So that's like as a teacher, right? Now the teaching methods right now, like I mentioned, kanina, I already mentioned one, are also adjusting. You have pre-recorded classes where that's about content. It's not necessarily about teaching students or looking at the growth. It's creating content as from publications. You know what I mean? Like books. I'm gonna create a book. I don't care if you learn from this book or if it makes sense. I mean, obviously it has to make sense. I mean, but you know what I mean? Like it's a book. The information is here. You do self-study. So there's that. There's that medium of teaching. There's also live classes, like what James and I do. We meet our students and teach them like this. And there's also a mix of both, which is like tutorials, sending videos back and forth to para walang lag. You know what I mean? So I think right now it's in conjunction to what James said, na teachers have to be creative. It's also selling that unique teaching style that you have and selling its effectiveness. So even though you have like this really famous guy here offering classes, if he doesn't teach that well, even if you're not as good as him, but you get to teach your student and your student becomes pretty dope compared to his students, you can start a market. Also, since the market right now, I mean, if the teachers right now are all the supply are all over the world, that means you can also create your own market in another place in the world that might actually get your classes, because let's just face it, the conversion ng money conversion, you know, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? A master class for you could be like $50, and for you that's already good.
Yeah.
Living. And then for some people they're like $50, I'm gonna charge $150.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So you act it honestly, the market just opens up, and then now there's like, you know, it balances out some way. So if you're smart enough to know, just like what James said, to be creative as a teacher, to sell yourself as a teacher with teaching objectives and clear learning objectives that your students will always get. You have a chance. Teachers have a chance to shine. You know what I mean? The teachers.
Yeah.
Not the. I'm not okay. But na lang. Whatever. If you guys hate
The dancer. You're not the dancer.
not the demonstrators.
Yes.
Who go to class and just want to show off. Like, if you're a real teacher, you focus on the teaching. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
you said it.
People want to see demonstrators demonstrate something dope. They don't have to sign up for your class. They just have to watch a YouTube video.
Watch it, yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's a demonstration. That actually, that's how I try to teach choreography in a live class. I don't demonstrate here sa camera kasi may lag. So I'm gonna tell them, after this sequence, I want you guys to watch this video that I sent you, so you can study the timing. So that's the demonstration, right? So kung yun lang, o de, rin na lang YouTube video mo.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So teachers are, as in the teaching, that's the one that's of value right now. The teaching,
dope.
the style of teaching.